No, let's say you went and
Not going to bat.
spent
I'm mad about that.
like $10,000 that we had planned for something else.
Okay.
And I know.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take more than one night.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like things
30 days.
I think it depends on like what we're discussing or what we're arguing about, because we both know you're wrong. But in my mind, I need to know like what led you to do that. Like what gave you the authority or the confidence to think that was a good decision. You know, I just have to understand, because you can't just say you went and spent our money, you know, that we had set aside for something else. Your money, do what you want to do. I don't give a fuck. But our money,
like we've been like stacking.
Yeah. Like, so
we had like a shared goal.
Exactly.
And then you just went off track.
So again, it goes back to what the argument is over. And I just don't, it's not always possible to go to bed unbothered. Yeah.
I agree.
I say situations like that, I say the same amount of effort and energy that you spent in that action or allegation, whatever the reason for that discernment is, you need to spend the same amount of energy in that apology. So if you spent $10,000 and you probably planned for this,
I see what you're saying.
And it took you a week to plan, it's going to take you a week to apologize. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if we get to that point,
plus tax.
Interest. And interest.
And interest, yeah.
But, tax or interest. You can't do both.
Fees, you got like
it's an administration fee, delivery fee,
literally,
execution fee,
upset fee. Like now we
you
have
got me fucked up fee,
blankets from the couch fee.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking fees attached to that.
The generic statements are the worst. Like men ain't shit. Like all bitches, da da da. Like no, like you need to stop right there.
All bitches think it's
no, it's not. It's not.
No, I agree.
Think like what do men think like?
You can't think like a man, Steve. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you're a woman, it's impossible for you to think like a man. If you're a man,
I mean, it's possible.
It is possible.
It's
he
possible.
gave the whole book.
Yo,
it's very
possible.
Is not.
We could also get the audiobook.
He gave a book,
and
there is a movie,
and he's iffy on the man's side.
Like visual.
Oh wow.
Like he's a little. You know what I'm saying, like, think like a man has to come from somebody who is a solid, sound man.
Now hold on. Was he saying?
It's not going to be a Steve bashing
I'm
segment.
like,
Was he saying
I like Steve.
logically, like, and this is going to be like a super.
They are
insult
not
to women.
the most not.
When
Like,
he
was he
invites
saying
us on
be
his show
logical
and
in the way you're
invites
dating?
Rico.
I don't care. First of all.
I'll go for Rico.
Thanks, Mara.
Oh my got you.
You're such a traitor. You see you thinking like a man right there.
I'll just. So this is what
the synopsis
Google,
is.
it's not even a synopsis, but whatever. This is what the internet says. Men and women have different approaches to relationships. In the book, Steve Harvey argues that men and women often think and act differently in relationships simply because they're wired differently. Men tend to be more logical and practical, while women tend to be more emotional and intuitive.
I knew it. Okay,
Kat,
let me
did you read the book? That sounds so great. That was great PR work.
But it doesn't even work.
Yeah, I saw the movie and heard the book.
But it won't work, because if you just said it, right, it's almost like you already canceled it. If we're wired differently, then we can't think the same. So if you're saying, hey, men and women are wired different, that means our signals are not happening the same. That means I can't think like you, because the wire that goes here and there and yours that go here and there are not the same. So I can't think like you. So that right there don't make no sense.
It's just walking contradict. You know, I don't want to get into
Well,
it.
I think
Just saying, like, be logical as a woman, like, that's annoying.
it is, because
It is annoying.
I'm not even going to say why, but anyway, I think that women whose fathers were like very like instrumental in raising them and like teaching them lessons, I think are more likely to be thought of as like women who think like men.
You're saying something?
My thing is, although I do agree, I don't know your dad, Aaron, but if I had to guess, he's a cool guy, right? We have to understand something. There's a lot of dudes out here that are not a cool guy. So there's a lot of dudes out here that can teach a woman how to think like a man because they don't really even think like a man.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So when we have men who are, because there are men who are very much non-reactive, but they're very much pushovers and they're I guess like they don't have the strong boundaries that men typically would have. When we have men like that trying to give advice to women, which there's a lot of these dudes on podcasts nowadays, and I won't say any names, even though I've been on a name spree.
Name names, Rico. No, don't name names.
You almost got me, dude. You almost got me. So like, there's a lot of men on the podcast who are not really a full on man. And if we had to ask me what is a full on man, it's just a man who can embody all the challenges of the world, weigh a lot on his shoulders, and still function the same and learn how to distribute that weight differently to a point where he can still bring ease and peace to his surroundings. So thinking like a man is hard to say when you look at it when it's coming from a man who doesn't even really fully think like a man himself. I love Mara.
It depends. Like everything is situational. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like these generic like things. I'm like, no, I just not buying what you're selling. Like, I think that different like for all we know, I mean, there's like different relationships have like a relationship is like what you make it, not what it's like told to us to be. So like maybe for you, like if a guy cheated on you, well, that's cheating, period. Where it's like if you have a relationship where it's like set up for you to explore other things, then like that's not cheating. But to the outsider, it would look like cheating. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Wait,
So-
if there's no
That's
deception
like open
in there.
relationship, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It would be
but
like
But
that.
there's
What if there is deception though? Let's just say
those are
hypothetically.
terms of agreement from the
Yeah.
beginning,
What
right?
is-
Like
what is-
that's not cheating. That's like the terms of agreement. But if there's some deception in there, that's
Okay.
a little bit different,
Okay, I
right?
get what you're saying. Yes, yes.
Like we agreed, me and Mara are not going to be outside of this relationship, and
and
then
you do.
you
So you
cast
break
me-
the rule.
prancing like a deer in some other woman's lawn.
not prancing.
Okay.
Is it because you don't
I guess
love
like
Mara
you know,
anymore?
like-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or you just have a high sexual appetite?
well, that's the thing.
Or
Okay, so
drive.
going back. So what that's what it
thing
was, right?
too.
What was it, Alan? If you cheat, just because he cheats doesn't mean
he doesn't love you.
yeah, that's a fact because yeah, usually men will cheat and still love their woman, even if he loves his other woman too.
Ooh, yikes.
Okay.
This
you
is-
see,
I-
I was only talking about cheating.
I'm just
On a
saying that he
sexual level.
still
Now
will
you're
love.
just spreading
Yeah,
the
now
love.
you're-
I'm just saying he can still love. Like
So you're saying
you
he's
can
in
love
love.
another one
Bitch
person.
now?
So if he
You don't
cheat,
love me.
what? He doesn't love you?
You got you 2 times, like you were emotionally with someone else. You got another bitch.
I got two.
Nah, you're out of here.
Okay,
You
but
don't
so
love
if
her?
she has
But
two,
why-
or if you have two, can she have two?
Wait, time out. We're talking about my love. I ain't talking about her love.
No.
Wait, can we
No.
stay? Can we stay on my love?
Hold on, it's
Two
always the same
boyfriends on
thing.
like
We're not
right
talking
here.
about my
Exactly.
acceptance. I'm just talking about my ability to love more than one.
You don't have to be I don't think that it's natural to be monogamous if we were to strip everything. However, obviously, like monogamy works clearly because that's how America was built. Like that's how families came. That's how kids were born. That's all of that. So I think that it can work, and I think that it can not work at the same time. I am like a very much believer in gray.
You just have to choose what works for you.
That's what I'm saying.
I hate that fucking thing so much. If I could like take that and put it into an object and just step on it
Launch
and
it.
spit on it and light it on
But
fire.
choose what works for
and just-
you. Was that your bad advice?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
Yes. And then I could just light it on fire and just throw it out, and I'd be like, "That's what works for you. Gets you basura."
But what if you want to have like a wife and kids, and the person that you want doesn't want to get married or have kids?
Then,
So then you don't date them, or but Like,
Yeah, but like, okay, what I don't want to do is I don't want to utilize what is majority of our natural standards in terms of procreation, which is typically the idealistic goal with a partner, into my preferences. Now, if you were to say, "Hey, would you want a girl who cooks and clean?" and I'm like, "Nah, I don't want a girl that cooks or clean. She doesn't need to cook and clean." That's a whole different ball game, right? Because now that's a preference. But like having a kid, I feel like is majority of men's thing, right?
why though?
Well, it's because of legacy. Like usually men think
Ego.
legacy. Usually men think ahead. We want to keep like, for example, especially if you go from the history of men.
Why do you need to have offspring? You specifically.
Me specifically?
Yeah, like what is the like what? How do you know that your kid's going to carry the same legacy that you have or the same truth that you have?
It's not their purpose to carry the same legacy as me. But my purpose is to set them up in a position where they can carry whatever legacy that they like. But realistically, procreation is really about, in my opinion, procreation is really about just bringing in individuals that's going to help better society. I'm a big humanitarian myself, so like I do.
If you don't get your ass out of here,
No, I'm being for real.
what humanitarian efforts do you give to?
Well, first of all, I could. Well, I mean,
But do you know what I
hon-
mean though?
in all honesty, like I could tell you tens of thousands of dollars that I personally have spent to give back to homeless shelters, and from here all the way to Las Vegas, every single Thanksgiving. I remember I brought out a whole truck on some Frank Lucas and had 500 dinners that I've given out on Thanksgiving. I have a lot of things that I do and I give back. Like that's my thing. Like I don't believe in certain things. So all in all, like making the world a better place doesn't always have to be an action of giving. But if you're giving or action of giving some type of physical thing like money, clothes, or food, but knowledge is key. And I really personally believe 99% of people are running around here without any knowledge of what this world really is, was, and how we really, constructed it. Now, my goal is to bring a kid into this world, help enlighten them, and hopefully that they do some type of good to the cause. I don't know and I don't control them, but the goal is to set them up. I think ego is healthy, but the thing is, not y'all, but it's the stigma that they put on ego. You know what I'm saying? They put this stigma on ego to a point, and I told you already the real origin of the etymology of ego is nothing bad, but they made it to something bad. So then that way that if somebody calls you egotistical or somebody says that you have an ego problem, out of nowhere you become somebody who embodies some type of narcissistic ways, you embody self-centeredness and all of these different negative things. And I'm so
Absolutely.
big on words.
Because the thing
is
that
all
happened with
associated.
ego is because ego became attached to survival. And because as human beings, we are wired to survive, and your ego is attached to your survival, people started doing whatever they needed to do in order to survive. And people were willing to compromise and do whatever they needed to do, whether that was lie, steal, cheat.
Get peed on your arm.
The P right there.
So that if you ask me,
So
based on that,
So when you said like, how did we get lost? Why ego became such a bad thing? Is that because once it became like, okay, this is a survival thing, and it's attached to that. That's why it became bad or negative.
If we ran with that narrative,
Yeah.
Wait, I have one. Can I
mention
have a
that it
thing?
was Haitian
Just to circle back. There is like a great what? Yeah. So one of the most
Right.
negative things, and I wanted to ask everybody, is that you can change the person you're with, right?
Who says that?
Nope, he's a good man, Savannah. Okay,
He's still a good man. She ain't trying to change.
so what I'm just nope. He married, but he's a good man. So we have
Good point.
this thing where you're like, you can change him, you can change her. In terms, that is one, but it's given.
That's what she's
That's
saying. It's
true.
bad
But
advice.
Who's
that's
hearing
Very
given.
that?
toxic
I've never heard
advice,
that.
but it's given.